Hey guys, how y'all doing? My name's Derrick, and this is Hannah. She's gonna be helping me today. This is Grain-Free Homestead. She's gonna be helping me make something amazing. We're making grain-free biscuits. And we're in Kentucky, and we like breakfast. Bacon, eggs, biscuits, and gravy is what's for dinner tonight. So we're gonna get started here. All right, I've made biscuits, a grain-free biscuit. I've been trying to work on this for like 2 years. We've been making different kinds of biscuits. We've been looking online, finding different recipes, and I've been tweaking them each time. I try and add a little bit, change things in it to make it better, but they always turn out just gritty or eggy or coconut flavored or just not biscuits. Like, okay, like, you know, they're all right, but they're not great. Well, let's say a few months ago, I was still working on it. We eat breakfast a lot. But we can't have it because, you know, we're grain-free. We can't have gravy and biscuits. We can have eggs and bacon, but, you know, gravy and biscuits is kind of important. So in this video, Stephanie is going to be making some gravy here in a little bit, and I'm making the biscuits. So went over the ingredients on what you're going to need. Hannah's going to help me mix them up and then put them all together, and we'll get this started. Just need a few ingredients, and I'll go over them here. All right, we need a cup of almond flour. We use the Kirkland. We think we prefer it. It's the best stuff around here. We get it from Costco. We also are using a half a teaspoon of salt. We get this pink Himalayan salt from Azure Standard. We are going to be using a teaspoon of monkfruit as a sweetener. We're going to use a teaspoon of the baking powder. Those are the dry ingredients. You're going to need 6 eggs. And we're going to use the egg whites. You're going to need a muffin pan and some spray and a few bowls. And we're going to need 4 tablespoons of butter and about 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. All right, we're cutting the butter and the cream cheese into little pieces. So that, and you're gonna freeze them, or you're gonna put them in the freezer to get them really good and cold. On most of the recipes that you find, it's either butter or cream cheese. They don't normally put both of them together. This is one of those things where I just tried it. I really liked it. I think it tastes better. I don't know why. It just does. So this is how we're doing it. Try it. Tell me what you all think. And cut this up into little pieces, and in a second we'll put it in the freezer. All right, I know this isn't beautiful, but it's cut up into chunks. And while we're mixing the other stuff, we are going to put this in the freezer and get it chilled as cold as we can, and then in a few minutes we'll mix it back in. All right guys, so now we're gonna mix all the dry ingredients, and we got the butter and the sour cream in there freezing. We're gonna start off with 1 cup of almond flour. Now it's maybe a little bit more than a cup, but around a cup of almond flour. We're gonna do a half a teaspoon of salt. Next is 1 tablespoon of baking powder. We're gonna do 1 tablespoon of sweetener. If you're using allulose, you probably need to use 2 tablespoons. I highly recommend though, for the taste of this, the monkfruit and erythritol is probably the best thing you can use. We've tried other things like Swerve. I hate Swerve. I don't like Swerve at all. I highly recommend this, but everybody's different. If you like Swerve, try it, see what you think. 1 tablespoon of sweetener. So you got your dry ingredients, and if you can see the clumps of the almond flour, you want to break those up. You use a fork. We got this little tool here. No. We'll call that a butter cutter. All right, Bust up those clumps. Bust it up. Quit looking. Bust it. Mix it in there real good. You're doing great. Good job. Amazing. All right, you can see all the clumps are pretty much gone. It's okay if you have a little bit of clumping, but you just don't want to have big clumps of almond flour. Next, you're gonna need 6 egg whites. Not like that.
I've done it before. She said it's really slippery.
Did you see that recovery? When cooking, always make sure you have adult supervision. So now we're gonna blend the egg whites up until you get
like a white cream.
Yeah.
Like whipped cream.
Like whipped cream. Like stiff peaks is what they call it.
It looks like whipped cream though.
You want it to be stiff.
Like
all right?
icing.
You do not listen. You do not pull the thing out while it's spinning, or it'll go everywhere. So keep it down in. Do you know what to do?
No.
Okay. Hold it here.
Okay.
And this thing right here, this little lever. You
What's
didn't
this?
see this?
That didn't work.
Get your flour back out, and you get your butter out of the freezer.
Let's put the butter in.
So the butter is really cold and hard now. And we're just gonna dump this in here. All right. And you're gonna cut the butter in with the flour, the almond flour. This is one of the hardest things to do. You can use a fork.
Can I use the fork and you use this?
Yeah, try and use the fork.
Scissors.
And you just smash that butter, you cut it in. And the sour cream.
You mean cream cheese?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Cream cheese. Thank you for correcting me. You want to get this crumbly. Where it's mixed up, it's kind of crumbly. Alright, now look, when we do this,
I know, I scoop it and put it in there.
you don't mix this, you kind of fold it in.
Yeah.
Okay. You're doing a great job. Hold it, hold it. Alright. That's about the consistency you want it. You're going to spray the pan with a Pam or olive oil spray, cooking spray. All right, we're going to scoop some and put it in each of the slot. Hannah says it's like bubbles. I think she did a great job. We're gonna put these in the oven for about 11 minutes. Keep an eye on them, and about at 400 degrees, maybe 380, and we'll see what happens.
Touch them hard.
Okay guys, so I'm gonna start. It's our gravy. It's a grain-free gravy. It took me a good year or so to get this just right, and it's so stupid easy. It just, I don't know why it took so long, it just did. So basically what you start out with is just your grease. This happens to be sausage grease, but you could use bacon grease, whichever one you have. So you want to start out just like you would regular gravy. Start out with your grease. Now instead of milk, I'm going to use heavy cream. Use the rest of that. And I don't measure. I know that's horrible. I just use however much I need.
Go ahead.
I use the heavy cream. I do usually add a little bit of water just to thin it down. You could use milk if that's what you wanted. I tend to stay on a keto diet, so I use cream. It has lower carbs, but the cream gives it a good thickness. That's why I use the cream in here. So I get that kind of mixed up. Salt and pepper it very generously, depending on how you like it. This is how I like it. I do like a lot of pepper in my gravy. Now this gravy, it has taken us a long, long time to find a gravy that tastes like breakfast gravy, that's grain-free, that doesn't have some type of flour in it. And my husband especially is probably the pickiest about gravy, and he likes this. He eats it just like we would anything else. And so now we can have biscuits and gravy again. So the key ingredient, the secret ingredient, I guess, to this gravy is xanthan gum. You can find xanthan gum in the baking section, usually at Kroger or Walmart, places like that, even Amazon. I use the Bob's Red Mill xanthan gum. This is the secret to this gravy. I tried many times to make a roux ahead of time. I tried using a teaspoon and measuring it out, and it never worked. It always clumped, or it always got kind of this slimy texture. It would make gravy, but it was just, here's the secret. You just sprinkle just a little bit on top, and that's it. You're gonna think that it isn't enough, and it's plenty. I would say it's, if I had to guess at a measurement, I would guess 1/4 teaspoon. And then I just get it whisked in there as quick as I can. And I let it do its thing. I let it thicken, and it turns into a beautiful gravy. So it is seriously that simple. Okay, I can feel it starting to thicken just a little bit. And that's how I know that there's enough in there, that it's gonna do it, that it's gonna thicken. As you can see, it's getting thick. Compared to regular flour gravy, it just takes a little bit longer for it to thicken. And what I was doing previously was I would keep adding xanthan gum, and then I would get it to thicken, but then it would get that weird texture to it. So what I have figured out is if you just wait it out, and it takes a good 5 or 6 minutes or more of stirring and just getting it to thicken up. And so at this point, you just get it as thick as what your family's kind of used to and what they like. We don't like ours super duper thick, but it does keep thickening because it gets thick just like regular gravy. It has a wonderful texture to it, and it tastes just like gravy. So we're super happy that we get to have biscuits and gravy again. Breakfast for dinner is not the same without biscuits and gravy. Yep. It's all done.
Biscuits are done. One issue that we do have with these biscuits in this pan is getting them not to stick. That's what the spray was for, but even with the spray, they do sometimes stick. Alright guys, there it is. Bacon, eggs, biscuits, and gravy, and some sausage. There you go guys, we got low carb breakfast. Grain-free biscuits and grain-free gravy.